evening, viewers, and very many thanks for joining us right here at Kenya's Gold, your go-to source when it comes to all matters agriculture and environment conservation. Very many thanks for joining us from wherever it is that you are watching us from. My name is Violeta Ngina. Now, my fellow farmer and co-host Emmanuel Terrer is out there interacting with different farmers. He will be back with us in studio next week. Now, Fridays on the show, we do focus on the environment, and I intentionally wore different shades of green so that I can look and feel one with the environment. Now, this week also we did celebrate the World Environment Day, which is marked on the 5th of June, and the theme this year was ecosystem restoration. Now more than ever, we are all having conversations on environment preservation, environment conservation, and environment restoration. And right here on the show, we are going to be furthering that conversation. That sounds good? Great. Now, when we are talking about environment restoration, ecosystem restoration, there are certain terms that go hand in hand with it. One of the terms include agroforestry, where we are urging our farmers to plant trees, fruit trees in their farms. We also do have another term like sustainable agriculture, which comes from the word sustain. What we are trying to achieve with sustainable agriculture is being able to meet our food needs in the present time without compromising the ability of the future generation to do the same. Now, today on the show, I want to introduce you to a new term. This term is regenerative agriculture. So what is regenerative agriculture? What exactly are we saying when we are urging our farmers to embrace regenerative agriculture? Well, you get to find out about that and more in our gold feature coming right up. Take a look.
Kwa majina yetu ndani ya Nzomo kutoka pande ya Makueni. Mimi ni mkulima na nimekuwa nikifanya hii kazi ya ukulima kwa miaka kadhaa. Nilikuwa nalima beleni, nilikuwa nalima kilimo ya ile huko kambani ya kama kawaida. Tunalima na ng'ombe. Lakini hivi karibuni tukafundisha ukulima ingine inaitwa kilimo hifadhi. Ambayo imetusaidia sana. Kama ukiangalia hapa mimi nasimama, hii machungwa yangu vile imezaa iko safi, na inatokana na huu ukulima ambao tulifundishwa juzi ya kutengenezea mimea kama hivi. Unachimba, hii inaitwa smiling bumps, unaitengenezea mimea round halfway, alafu unaweka manure ndani, alafu unaweka mulching pia, ili wakati ya mvua ikinyesha tunachota maji na ingia hapa ndani. Ni kama unapanda maji hapa ndani. Ukishamaliza kupanda maji hapa hivi unapanda mimea yote hapa ndani. Hapo ndani unaona miti kama hii. Unaona kuna malenge, kuna hapa kulikuwa na maragwe, mahindi pia tulikuwa tunapanda kando pia. Na via mbazi ukiangalia kando hivi unaona mbazi iko. Kwa hivyo nikiangalia hii ukulima na ile ya zamani naona hii afadhali sana na inatusaidia zaidi. Kwa maana hii ukulima unapanda maji ni kama unapanda mimea. Na ukishapanda hivyo, hii mti inakuwa inatumia maji polepole na inaendelea kusaa. Ukiangalia hii miti na uangalia ingine iko hapa chini ambayo bado siyatengenezea, kuna utofauti mingi zaidi.
The bumps are very much important for the purpose of holding the water and bringing it closer to the trees, to the fruit trees and all the rest of the trees in the farm. So water harvesting is very important, and just immediately we make some holes for planting the seedlings. We prepare this bump so that we can be able to make sure that the water is accumulated there for the purpose of nurturing the trees and the crops on the farm. The component number 2 is on diversification. We are training the farmers on integrating different types of trees, species, and also crops in the farm, forming different layers in the farm. So that we formed this kind of different canopies to make sure that the crops in the farm depend on one another in terms of forming a kind of an ecosystem where water is not lost in the soil. They form a shadow just above the rest of the crops and the trees to make sure that after we receive the rains, the water which is banked in the soil, it is available even the rains are, when the rains are over for use by the crops and the trees.
Shambani mwangu napanda vitu kama mahindi, maharagwe, na pia kuna miti ya avocado, paipai, na kuna maembe pia, miti ya miembe na machungwa. Nimetengeneza mitaro na pia nimetengeneza smile bumps. Na pia kuna planting holes ambazo ninachimba, ninaweka mbolea, katika hiyo shimo naweka mbolea, ninaweka jivu na matawi ambayo imekauka, ninachanganya yote pamoja. Na hii smile bump pia naiweka mulching, na pia naiweka mbolea, naweka jivu. Na ile mimea ambayo napanda hapo kwa hii shamba yangu mimea nyingi. Kuna kunde, kuna mahindi, kuna maharagwe, kuna malenge, na kuna pigeon peas, niseme hivyo, na hata kumtama iko. Na hizo vitu zote zinafanya vizuri kwa ajili ya ile mbolea ambayo nimeweka na maji ambayo nimeipanda kwa mchanga yangu. Hata nikiangalia kwa mashamba ya majirani, ninaona mahindi yao yamekauka, yangu bado ingali tu inaendelea vizuri. Na wakati wadudu waliingia kwa mashamba, hao wadudu ambao walikuwa wanaharibu mahindi, sijui ni kwa ajili ya hii jivu ambayo tunaweka kwa mashimo yetu ama nini, mahindi yangu ni safi, haina hao wadudu. Na pia hii kilimo nimepata mavuno ya kutosha. Sikuwa navuna hiyo mahindi ya kutosha vile nimevuna sasa. Nikiingia kwa shamba nimepata maharagwe, na nimepata malenge, hata ninauza. Kwa sasa nimeuza malenge 40 na kitu. Nikiwa nauza moja kwa shilingi 400, 300, 350. Kwa hivyo hii kilimo, naweza kusema wakulima wale wengine waingie kwa hii kilimo, wapate kukusanya maji, ndio wapate mavuno ya kutosha, kwa sababu hii sehemu yetu wakati mwingine inakauka, na mvua yetu saa nyingine haimalizi sako vizuri, inanyesha inafika mahali inaachia chakula kabla haijakomaa. Lakini nikiangalia sasa, ile maji ambayo kwa mchanga imesaidia kumalizia mahali ambapo mvua ilifika.
In this particular project of regenerative agriculture, we are encouraging them to make sure that they do keep what we call animal integration. The different types of animals, the small and the big, including cattle, including goats, sheep, poultry, rabbit, and all the rest. So every animal has its purpose in this particular project, in this particular model of farming which we are encouraging the farmers to use. For example, like the rabbits are giving urine, is a very important biopesticide, which is pests. The other reason why we are doing diversification of different trees and the crops is to make sure that some of the crops are increasing soil fertility in the soil. They are fixing nitrogen in the soil. And again, when some of them shed, especially the cover crops, they continue adding more organic matter in the soil. And in the long run, you find that the organic matter makes the soil improved in terms of soil fertility. The other component is on mulching. And mulching here, we are very much concerned because our soils, after we receive a lot of rains, the moisture on the soil is lost. It's stolen by the very key main thief, which is called the sun. And so the sun, we protect our soils from the direct sun by making sure that we have mulch. We have different types of mulch. We have the dead mulch and we have the live mulch. That is the reason we encourage the farmers to plant cover crops. Cover crops like cowpeas, beans, dolichos, mucuna, and the rest to make sure that the soil is covered permanently. And again, when it's dry season and the farmers have been able to harvest these cover crops, from the cover crops, we encourage them to bring back the residues or to leave residues of the crops in the farm so that the soil is completely covered with the mulch. That again, during the dry season, makes sure that the soils are protected from the loss of moisture. So that is a very important component of making sure that we have permanent soil cover to make sure that that place, that farm of that particular farmer has enough moisture and has a lot of water banked there for use just after the rains are gone.
I also was trained about planting in holes, not just anyhow, but you dig holes. Inside the holes you put manure, and then you plant your seeds there. Once you do that, even if it rains just a little rain, you must harvest something. At least you must harvest something. Then after the training, the second season, which is this one now, I planted maize also. I planted this peas. I planted sweet potatoes. I planted mangoes. I planted avocado. I planted pumpkins. And they have all done very well.
The technology which I want to talk about is a smile bump, which if you look at it, you will see a lot of you will see diverse crops around it, which are planted after we designed it. It has harvested enough water. On the wall of the bump, you will find that we have cowpeas, we have also sunflower. Already we have harvested some beans. We have some cowpeas, we have some maize. So if you look at this design, and also we have some pumpkins which are planted along and some dawn melon around. If you look at this technology keenly, you will find that it's a technology which, if well adapted by farmers, it will give more produce than our normal way of doing farming.
And the good thing about what we harvest in this shamba is we don't use chemicals. We only use manure. And because of the variety of the crops that we grow there, I have noticed that we don't get a lot of insects that affect my crops. Like since I planted, I have never sprayed anything. And they have been doing well. The pumpkins have come up well, so well that, and they are so big and they are so sweet. The peas are also coming up. The sweet potatoes are also there. If I need to eat, I just dig them. I had also planted, we call this one, Zoroko. We planted those ones, I harvested. We also used them when they were green. So I have seen there is a lot of advantage in this kind of farming.
We normally train our farmers on how to design water harvesting system through different technologies like contours, which harvest the run of water from roadsides, and we train them on how to make smile bumps, which they use to plant different crops around the farm. We also train them on how to do mulching or also planting cover crops to ensure that our moisture is not stolen by sun.
For the water, we are using the mantra of slowing the water to the farm, spreading the water in the farm, sinking the water in the farm, and saving that water in the farm so that it's used long after the rains are gone.
Actually, many farmers believe due to erratic rain patterns, we can't produce enough food for us. But regenerative agriculture has solutions to food security in our area.
We are encouraging not in this place alone, but also the rest of the country and other arid and semi-arid areas to embrace this technology so that you can be able to sustain food security. Very sure this is a critical area where the government is very much focused on addressing, but I can advise that this is one of the ways, a very climate smart method which farmers can be able to use, and very much we are assured of increased production, and that is the reason why you can be able to see high production of this particular farm despite the rains of only 4 weeks. So I'm encouraging the rest of the country where we've been able to have been experiencing these particular problems to embrace this technology, and really we'll be assured of increased production and other associated multiple benefits.
Absolutely, so much to learn from farmers in Makueni who, through regenerative agriculture, have managed to convert a once barren land into a food forest. Now, those are the stories that we like to hear right here at Kenya's Gold. Now, you do realize conversations around ecosystem restoration are very keen because, for example, right here in Kenya, we have a target of about 15 billion trees and also conserving about 10.6 million hectares of degraded land by 2032. That is a lot of work, but we have to do it. And right about now, I want to share with you some pointers of what we can all collectively do together when it comes to saving our degraded land. Now, maybe if you can have a look at what we can do. For example, we can all participate in, let's have a look at that, bringing nature back to the cities. When we're talking about bringing nature back to the cities, for example, in your backyard, back at home, you can go ahead and plant some trees, you can go ahead and plant some plants. And also a lot of Western countries are now embracing something that we are calling depaving, which basically means replacing concrete with plants or soils. Now, also another thing that we can do is renewing coastal and marine areas. And one of the ways in which we can do that is by planting mangrove trees. Now, you know, with mangroves, they do have the power of taking in a lot of carbon dioxide. They also save us from natural disasters such as tsunamis and also help in saving the soil from soil erosion. Something else that we can all do when it comes to restoring our degraded ecosystem is protecting our pollinators. Here we are talking about bees, for instance. I know most of us, when we think about bees, the number one thing that comes to mind is honey, but actually the most important job is pollinating, and 75% of the crops depend on bees for pollination. So we do have a responsibility of protecting our pollinators. And finally, of course, we do have the responsibility of saving our soil, because if we do not do that, then it's not going to be sustainable when we are talking about agriculture in the future days. So if we can all embrace these steps, we will be making effort when it comes to saving our degraded environment. Now, right about now, we do want to take a fast short commercial break, but do not go anywhere, because when we come back, we will be joined by an expert from BioVision Africa who's going to be shedding a lot more light on what exactly we mean when we are talking about regenerative agriculture agriculture. In the meantime, if you do have any question or feedback that you'd like to get through to us, talk to us across all our social media platforms. On Instagram at Kenya's Gold. Our SMS line is 22422 and our email is kenyasgold@royalmedia.co.ke. See you after this break.